So I came to New York as a product designer 12 years ago, and I realized that product is something you have to be specialized in, meaning if you want to do furniture out of wood, you have to know wood making. If you want to work with glass, you need to understand how to blow glass. You have to work with plastic. You need to understand the engineering of plastic. And I said, well, all of those trades are so specific. How can I be somebody that is more of a generalist? How can I have my practice more holistic approach to design rather than just making a certain type of furniture or a certain type of product constantly out of the same type of knowledge? So one of the things that I realized, and at that point, I realized that if I do a really beautiful product and not the right photographer is taking a picture of that, or it's not being packaged very well, or it's not being positioned very well on the shelf, my work is not really, not my work. So I'm going to show you actually some of my work, and one of the interesting things about what we do today, I'm going to start with the smallest product we ever done, and I'm going to end up with a city. We're now not just designing product, we're designing architecture, building, master planning, landscaping, urban planning, and a lot more than just product. And actually one of the things that I realize is the power of ideas is much stronger than the power of just design on its own. So one of the things that I realize is that, if we want to innovate, if we keep on interested in actually pushing the boundaries of design, we have to think more as a generalist and work with specialists. The power of specialists is, of course, every time that we're trying to do something specific, we need to understand how to make it, how to present it, how to speak about it, how to package it. But when we try to think about design, we don't always think about how we are making it necessarily. About 7 years ago, I showed my work to somebody that says, your work is very architectural. And I didn't really understand what it meant. He said, have you ever thought about larger scale than just product? At that time, we've done some interior projects, and we really enjoy the power of interior. And we realized that, why not trying to actually work on projects that are larger? So he said, why don't you think about larger things? And I started thinking, what would it mean to actually take some of what we've done so far in product, which is all about transformation. And I'm just going to give you a couple of very simple examples. The vase that you've seen, which is one of our first projects, was all about taking an iconic form into the worst experience a vase can have and breaking it, to basically highlight the beauty of experience. And this is usually what I refer to when I refer to transformation, when I refer to metaphorical transformation. The easiest way for me to describe a physical transformation is with this chair, which is actually the second project we've been working on. This idea of a folding chair. You spoke about small apartment. What about, instead of letting your guests sit on the chair that you're not proud of, that you're actually hiding in the closet, letting your guests sit on a chair that you're actually presenting as art? The chair that is actually on the wall and become the art piece, and you actually let your guests sit on this art piece. I'm jumping straight into architecture, and this idea of transformation has been a key in my work. And I was thinking, started by drawing an A-frame house. What is an A-frame house? Why doesn't every kid that I know is drawing that form? And I started realizing that, if you go to Mexico, you don't see that much of an A-frame house because there's no snow, there's no snow load, so there's really no need for this idea of a pitched roof like that. So I was just thinking, if I can apply the same approach of transformation with 2 hydraulic pistons, when it's winter and I need a pitched roof, I have a pitched roof, and when it's summer, like New York, cold winter, hot summer, I can actually change this icon and actually change it from a summer house to a winter house. One of the things that we also realized at that point is that summer sun is much higher, so you're looking at a house that is also an ecological system. It warms the house during the summer, and it actually helps you warm the house in the winter and cool the house in the summer. So we started building a portfolio of architectural projects, and we, at that point, said, well, who is going to actually give a product designer an architectural project to work on? We were very lucky to meet somebody in Abu Dhabi that says, I have a small little island, about 135,000 square meters of land. Why don't you come up with an idea of what to do in this island? We're thinking about top luxury residential and some hotel that would serve those residential. And I said, well, that's really interesting, but I've never done a master plan. I don't even know what a master plan actually means. But at that point, I just thought that, well, the Persian Gulf is a place that I know for carpet making. We have this phrase that whatever we don't want to see, we shove underneath the carpet and we hide it. And I was thinking, top luxury residential, who wants to live in a house on an island and have 17 neighbors from the left and 15 neighbors from the right, right? I want to live on an island having my own space, not really thinking of anybody next to me. So we came up with this idea that the entire architecture on this island is not visible. The entire architecture of this island is tucked underneath vegetation, which is essentially the nature of this carpet. And we actually presented those villas that the roofs are part of the landscapes and the houses are always facing the water. They called us back after we sent them this conceptual presentation. They said the crown sheikh of Abu Dhabi saw your presentation and loved it. He wants to build it. I started laughing hysterically at that point. I just had no other way of reacting. I basically said, I have no idea how to build this. I have no idea, what else can I give you? I gave you a vision, and that's really all that I can give you at this point because I'm not an architect. And they said the smartest thing I've heard from a client at that time. They said, we know. We've done our homework and the size of your team, and we realize that you've never done anything like this and that we need to pad you with the knowledge that you're lacking. And I'm like, well, that sounds familiar. I've been using that phrase for quite some time with referring to glass blowing and to things like that. We got the commission, we got all the consultants that we needed, and we actually broke the record of the most expensive residential ever sold in the UAE. The project sold entirely in 3 days. I want to say a little bit better than Avatar did on its first weekend out. $950 million in 3 days out of about 35 residentials. And then I really realized that the power of idea is much bigger than I actually think. At that point, we started, and we got a lot of different architectural commissions until we actually landed in Turkey for the first time, which is where I'm heading on Sunday today, to actually think about something in a completely different scale. They invited us and said, we are dredging a canal, which is about 40 kilometers from north to south, and we have 1 billion cubic meters of land that we don't know what to do. I said, well, then why do you come to us? They said, because you think out of the box, and you're not an architect, and you're not closed-minded with certain things. And we said, well, that's really our strength. And this is the first time that we heard it in that kind of scale. 1 billion cubic meters of land, do the math. If you pile it up in one place, you're getting about 3 kilometers in diameter of land. 3 kilometers in diameter of land is about a third of Manhattan. That's pretty much a scale of a city. One of the things that we realized at this point, that I'm giving you a talk in 10 minutes, so I can talk about this project for hours and hours and hours. One of the things that we realized with this project is that we really want to push the boundaries of a city that is not similar to the cities that we're living in today, which means that the type of infrastructure that we have in most of our mega cities today were not designed for mega cities. They were not designed to basically have that amount of people. They were not designed to have skyscrapers of hundreds floor or so. And one of the things that we realize is if there is a way for us to have an infrastructure and a structure of buildings that are actually interconnected and intermoving into one another having communities that are always facing the water in this utopic type of setting, and actually having the commercial spaces introverted into the plan. So this is a very, very, very crazy idea that we're working on right now. I just wanted to end with the largest thing that we're working right now and starting with the smallest thing, but our practice is pretty much thinking about different ideas at different scales, from product to large architectural commission. Thank you very much.